Alhamdulillah, I was just in a gathering not too long ago with Fadilatul Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar, Hafidahullah, um, on today, just a few hours ago, Sunday, 22nd October 2023. And I thought it's prudent and imperative for me to share some of the knowledge, the ilm, some of the gems and wisdom that he shared with us. Whilst he was saying certain things, I was thinking many more people should hear this, and many more people will benefit from this, inshallah. So nas'alullah al-qubula wal-ikhlas. As a background of Fadilatul Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar, I feel that if you've clicked on this video, then looking at the title and the rest of it, you already have the background and you already know who he is, and that's why you've clicked on the video. But for those that don't know, and for completeness purposes, I'll mention one or 2 points. He is the Shaykh al-Qurra currently in al-Masjid al-Nabawi al-Sharif, and he's the former Imam of Masjid al-Haram in Mecca and Masjid al-Nabawi in al-Madinah al-Munawwara. I think back in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, he was, 5 daily salawat, salatul tarawih, and the rest of it. The reason why I have a connection with him is he's my teacher's teacher. So Fadilatul Sheikh Dr. Abdullah al-Jarullah is his khas student. He's one of his main students. And it was really nice because today was the first time that I met him, alhamdulillah. And one thing to share with you is when I met him, Sheikh Dr. Jarullah, he introduced me and he said he's from Britannia and Umar and the rest of it. And wallahi, you're not going to believe it, but he started speaking to me in English. So Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar is good in English. Fluent. Wallah, he sounded very fluent. He started talking to me in English. He said, "Oh, so are you from Britannia? Where are you from?" Like, just one of them ones. And I'm like, and I'm telling Sheikh Abdullah, I'm saying, he's fluent in English? And he said, he's speaking to you. Of course he is. And then I also heard, subhanAllah, that was shocking. I think you're probably shocked as well listening to this. I can't believe it. I still can't believe he was speaking to me in English. And then someone else told me as well that, actually before he became Imam in the Haramain, he actually visited London a few times, and he used to lead Taraweeh in London, Finsbury Park to be precise. So, it's crazy, man. Sometimes when you meet some people, there's other mashayikh as well that I've met, and they've started talking to me in English. For example, obviously, Dr. Abdullah al-Jarullah is fluent in English. Why? Because he's a medical doctor, and he's the head of the family department at the military hospital. But also there's Sheikh Tamim al-Zu'bi, who's also very good at English. He's very good in speaking English. He started speaking, again, I spoke to him in Arabic, and then he started speaking to me in English. And other big mashayikh, Qurra, for example, Sheikh Ihab Fikri. All these mashayikh, they can speak English. So this is something very interesting. Anyway, so as I say, alhamdulillah, it was a very blessed gathering, and learnt many things. And I've decided that I'm going to share. Originally, I was thinking I'm going to share seven gems or 7 pieces of advice from him. But whilst I was writing everything up from my notes that I made, I've ended up close to 14. So bear with me, and inshallah, each and every one of these points will be beneficial for you. So the first point and it's in no particular order. It's in no particular order in terms of how we're basically studying a book. So it's related to Ahkam al-Tajweed and the rest of it. Anyways, the first point that he mentioned was very interesting. And he was a bit annoyed. He said, Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar, he said, some people, they have the knowledge of Quran and Qira'at and Tajweed and Ahkam and Aswat and the rest of it, but when they're at home, when they're by themselves, they just read very fast. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Malik Hadar. They're just reading fast. And he was annoyed because he was saying, he was saying that this is against the sunnah, because the sunnah is tartil, reading tartilan. And he also said that the problem with this is that when you then lead on the musalla as an imam, or you recite to your teacher, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. So at home, you should be reading as if you're reading on the musalla, or you're reading to your teacher at home. You should be reading tartilan. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَرَتَّلْنَاهُ تَرْتِيلًا. ترتيلا ورتلناه ترتيلا. Tartilan is the masdar which is there for ta'keed, that you must recite in tartilan. So from Rabbul Alameen, the Quran has been revealed tartilan, and the Prophet ﷺ used to recite tartilan as well. So this is the sunnah. So this is the default position. We shouldn't be reading anything else unless we have to. And then the other point he mentioned is, if you have the ilm, then you have to practice upon it. What's the point of having this knowledge that, ahkam al-tajweed, al-mad, the ghunan, stretching here, reading this tafkhim, whatever it is, if you're at home and you're just reading Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, that's not good enough. That's very bad, because the whole point of the ilm is to practice upon it, amal. And if you're not going to do that, then it defeats the purpose. So this is one point that I definitely thought you need to hear, something I need to hear as well. Sometimes when we're in the masjid or something, we're just reading like very quickly. We must read with tartilan. We must read slowly, as if we're reading on the musalla. The second point that he made was that Surah Al-Fatiha, if you think about it, we recite it probably 30 times a day. Easily 30 times a day we are reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. So it is necessary on each and every one of us to master the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha, because it's such a shame in life if, this is my point I'm making, but I'm just saying it's such a shame that we go through all our years of life, we're reciting this surah 30 times a day, and we come to the end of our life and we're still not reading it correctly. That is a big shame. Okay, so he mentioned that we recite Surah Al-Fatiha 30 times a day, so we must make extra effort in reciting this properly, and then we must also make an effort to teach others to recite this properly, this surah properly as well. Another point he mentioned, the third point that I'm sharing, is that he says many people, they pray salah. So basically this is connected with Surah Al-Fatiha, which is that if you don't read Surah Al-Fatiha correctly, then salatun batila. There's a possibility that your salah is incorrect. So for example, instead of waladhalin, someone says waladhalin. He was saying that, if I'm not mistaken, Sheikh al-Shinqiti, he was praying behind the Imam one of the days, and the Imam said waladhalin, and he said, I didn't say Ameen, because waladhalin, what is this? He didn't say Amin, and he said it's close that your salah can be incorrect. So Surah Al-Fatiha must be taken care of. And then he mentioned the point, which is that many people, they pray salah as aada and not as ibadah. So they just pray, we have to pray salah, so we just pray, Allahu Akbar, that's not correct as well. So that's something we must be focused on. So, the fourth point, and this is something he mentioned 3 times at least, if not more. He mentioned this 3 times, and it made me think. When he was mentioning, I just started to think. I was like, subhanallah, there's a reason he's mentioning this many times, and it's for the awareness. Sometimes we don't think. For example, as in what he mentioned is that for every letter that we recite from the Holy Quran, we have up from 10 to 700 rewards. 10 ila 700, we have the rewards from 10 to 700 rewards for every letter we recite. So it's like he's trying to instill in us that keep this back of your mind, that when I'm reciting the Quran, keep in mind that I'm getting between 10 and 700 extra rewards. Subhanallah. So this is something that I haven't thought of for years. probably never thought of it, to be honest. So it was really good. It was really good as a reminder. Hence, also I'm sharing with you as well. So that's 4. Number 5, Sheikh Dr. Jarullah, he did put him on the spot a few times. He asked him very good questions. One of the questions was, is maqamat permissible? What is your view on maqamat? And he said, Lam ya'ti al-Quran hakada. The Quran was not revealed like this, in like Sika and Rust and wherever you get. I have no idea about maqamat. I've been in situations where I've recited at an event, or I've recited somewhere on TV or whatever, and people have come to me and they've said, oh, you recited in this maqam and this maqam, and I'm thinking, I was just reciting anyhow. And they're so like, these people are so engrossed in maqamat that everything is like has to come back to a maqam. But just recite the Quran beautifully. So he said, it doesn't have to be a maqam as long as you try to recite the Quran beautifully. So زينوا القرآن بأصواتكم, حسن الصوت, recite the Quran in a beautiful voice. But and then if it comes in line with a maqam, then okay, that's a different thing. But it can't be like actively you're going to learn the maqamat and you pull out a violin and you start, this is completely incorrect. And he said, لا يجوز. لا يجوز. This is not permissible. That's point number 5. Point number 6, he mentioned something I've mentioned in another video, and I've learned this from Sheikh Abdullah al-Jarullah as well. But he was saying about, for example, we have some people recite إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. When you recite the ada, it has to be, everything has to be with mizan. It has to be balanced well, and each word has to be read separately. So you don't say إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. Kanasta'in is not a word. Iya, nobody knows what that is as well. It's Iyaka nasta'in. Iyaka nasta'in. Hope that makes sense. The 7th point was related to Suratul Fil. Again, bear with me and forgive me. I'm not giving you all the points, and this is not in order. I'm just trying to put information and ilm out there for you so you can learn from it, inshallah. For example, he said, the 7th point I'm making here, he said, some people say, فَجَعَلَهُمْ فَجَعَلَهُمْ يعني فجأة, suddenly. But that the meaning is nothing to do about that. فَجَعَلَهُمْ, فجأة. You read with the meaning. So, فَجَعَلَهُمْ, there's no, فجأة means suddenly, يعني you jump, فجأة. Okay, but this is فَجَعَلَهُمْ, so he created them. So there's no need for that فَجَعَلَهُمْ. You sit there and you say فَجَعَلَهُمْ ميزان. فَجَعَلَهُمْ فَجأة. That's incorrect. Number 8, point number 8, Sheikh Abdullah, he asked him a question. He said, is waqf wal ibtida, or is ilm al waqf wal ibtida necessary in order to attain ijaza? So he actually started talking about ijazat. So this is point number 8, when he was saying that, first of all, nobody should do anything for the sake of ijaza. Nobody should do anything for the sake of ijaza. Ikhlasu lillah, ya'lamu sirra wa akhfa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your intentions. And he says, if a teacher finds out that a student has come for the sake of ijaza, for the name, for the title, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all, including myself, like sometimes we're making these videos and even this video, and so a niyyah is very difficult. Broadly speaking, a niyyah will always be difficult. But if you do things for the sake of ijaza and the rest of it, if the teacher realizes this, he should send the student away and send him somewhere else. Okay, so he's annoyed, and Dr. Jarullah, he's told me other stories as well. When on his visit to the UK, he told me he used to make this point like nearly every 2 days. He used to mention when he came to visit me for 2 weeks in the UK, literally every day or every 2 days, he would mention, don't do things for ijazat. And he gave me so many stories. So Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar was pushing the same narrative, which is don't do anything for ijazah. And as a teacher, if you realize that your student is coming to you for the ijazah, then send him somewhere else. That leads to the next point, which is back to the waqf wal-ibtida. He said, yani, it's a science in and of itself. Don't quote me on this one, but this is broadly what he was saying. It's a science in and of itself. And he said the first thing, or the main thing at least, is that you should follow the symbols that are in the Mushaf al-Madani, Mushaf al-Madani, the Medina Mushaf, this one. It's the Medina Mushaf. He said follow the symbols, as in he didn't particularly mention the Medina Mushaf, but I'm mentioning it because I've noticed many errors, unfortunately, in the South African Mushaf, the Asian Mushaf, the 13 lines. I did my hifd in that as well, and loads of mistakes, subhanAllah, too many mistakes. And inshallah, it's one of my intentions to correct this, or if someone else listening to this has the time and the zeal and the enthusiasm to do this great noble work, then spend some time studying waqf wal-ibtida and correct the Mus'haf. There are many mistakes. Okay, I don't usually like saying that kind of thing or criticizing, but for sure there are some mistakes that need to be corrected. So he said, as a bare minimum, you should follow the Mus'haf, correct the Medina Mus'haf, and that's the bare minimum. Another point he mentioned was in relation to oh yeah, this one's I know there's اختلف العلماء in this topic, which is the rule of إخفاء. So when we have إخفاء, the غنة of the noon. So for example, من قبل, my teacher Sheikh Abdullah al-Jarullah, he asked him this question. He asked Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar this question. He said, does the sound of the غنة, the إخفاء, does it follow the letter after it, or does it stay as it is, especially if there's حروف الاستعلاء letter, if there's a letter from the isti'la letters coming after the ikhfa? And he said, yes, it does follow. He said the noon is light, becomes light, and therefore the ghunna, it follows what is after it. I know in the subcontinent the rules are different, and I'm sharing with you what Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar has to say about this matter. I heard it with my own ears, that he did say, we would say, for example, we wouldn't say min qablu, we'll say min qablu. One of my other teachers in Kulliyat al-Quran, he is very knowledgeable as well. He was previously Amidul Kulliyah Sabiqan. He was the dean of the faculty, and he's always, like, whenever I've asked him these type of questions, wallahi, honestly, from my side, I don't ask these questions to cause a debate. Like, for me, it's just, I just want to know, like, what the consensus is and where people are getting their opinions from. Wallahi, it's not for debate. And he's always told me, he said, "Iqra'u kama ullimtum," read as you have been taught, because that's the tajweed rules didn't come after. The Quran was revealed in a certain way and recited in a certain way, and the tajweed rules were derived from that. So and the way it's been passed on through ijazat, and this is preservation, alhamdulillah, of the Holy Quran, is through the student reciting to the teacher. So iqra'u kama ullimtum. I've made another video on that, so check my previous videos where I speak about this matter. But yes, according to Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar, he said you would follow the isti'la letter. Another point he mentioned, and we'll make this the penultimate one. Sorry, no, I will give three more. We'll give three more because that one's quite important as well. So from these final three, one is that Jim Sheen Ya. He said Jim Sheen Ya. Sheen about the at-tafashi, for the sheen, make it strong. Sheen, sheen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. Some people just say من الشيطان. من أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And he said also the Jim, Sheen, and Ya, they are all very, as in the وسط اللسان, صح? والجيم فالشين فياء من وسط. Yeah, أي من وسط اللسان. So sometimes he's saying it's easy for these three letters to interfere with each other. So for example, instead of saying jim properly, some people might say jim, 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 jim. That's incorrect. Jim, jim, sheen, ya, ya, ja, ja. Coming close to the jim. Ya, ya, al-ya, jim, sheen. Read these letters very, very clearly. The penultimate point is he said in Surah Al-Ma'un, أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. There's 6 requirements as per the surah, and he was just saying that why does the requirement of salah come right in the middle of the other random points? And he also said, for example, he said because, so nobody knew the answer, and then Dr. Jarullah, he answered and he said something in the middle is like, when something is in the middle of something, it's like the main, it's the core, it's the focus. And he said yes, he's like, for example, in Surah Al-Baqarah you have حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى. So you have a verse talking about حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى, completely randomly in between verses of talaq, nikah, stories of the prophets. It's just randomly, and حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى comes right in the middle. Again, why? To show the importance, and also that salah can sort out all your other wider affairs in life. Okay, so it brings you peace and istiraha, and it helps in sorting out the rest and just leveling up the rest of your affairs. And this is one of the hikmah, one from the hikam of these verses coming in the middle of random topics, you would say. Finally, من المقدمة الجزرية واحرص على السكون في جعلنا أرسلنا. The lam and the noon, the makharij is from very similar places. The articulation point is very similar, so we just have to be careful. واحرص على السكون, so be mindful, be careful. واحرص, ihris is like imperative, it's an order. واحرص على السكون, on the sukun. في جعلنا, the sukun is on al-lam, صح? So al-lam and noon, the makhraj between them is very similar, and therefore we must be very careful. We shouldn't say جعلنا. Read clearly, جعلنا أرسلنا. Be wary when you're reciting these words. نسأل الله القبول والإخلاص. I hope you benefited from this, and I hope you pray for me as well, and pray for my teachers, and pray for Sheikh Ibrahim al-Akhdar as well. Honestly speaking, I just thought it'll be useful for me to pass this on to you, because I'm pretty sure you benefited something, inshallah. I definitely learned a lot, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in ilm. ربي زدنا علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا واسعا. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel, and leave your comments down below. Shall speak to you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi وبركاته.